Welcome, traveler. My name is Winkari, and this is The Journey, a Guild Wars 2 podcast. A cozy stop along the road where we share adventures, stories, and the latest news and updates as we reflect on the world of Tyria. Pull up a chair, warm yourself by the fire, and let's begin. Hello and welcome to episode 13 of The Journey. My name is Winkari. It is April 16th, 2026. So glad you're joining me today. In this episode 13, we'll be discussing my experiences in Brisban Wildlands and the April Fool's event. A few life updates for you. Celebrated Easter with the fam. Nothing too crazy. I don't know if you had any traditions growing up, but for my family, we would always have kind of like a trail of eggs leading out of our bedrooms into the living room, and then a bunch of eggs that are kind of hidden throughout. So we continue that tradition in my family. Did that for my two girls. Spent some time with my parents, my side of the family, basically the rest of that day. Basically watching the Cubs game, playing board games, eating good food, and that's what I call a good time. I also finished the Ghosts of Ascalon Guild Wars 2 book. If you're not familiar, there's a trilogy that they wrote before the release of Guild Wars 2, and the first one's called Ghosts of Ascalon. And I finally finished it. Really enjoyed that one. Not going to give it a giant review, not going to give it any spoilers other than to say I recommend it. It is good. It accomplished what I think it set out to do. I think it had a satisfying ending, and I just started the next one, the middle book called Edge of Destiny. With that, let's jump into our first segment, Waypoint Unknown. If you're not familiar with this segment, it's called Waypoint Unknown, where I broadcast from an unknown location in Tyria, and you, the listener, have to guess, based on the clues, where we are. I start out this one in a vegetative environment, we'll just say that. There are tall stalks, green leaves, ginormous fungi, you name it, it's here. As I walk into a little settlement of sorts, there are some Warden scouts, some mortar pods, Warden Captain No, some settlers. Again, all Sylvari. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If I go to the edge of this settlement, which is kind of up on a ridge, I look down around me. There's some water, a distant kind of village of sorts on a platform, some jungle boars, some fireflies, and on the edge there, settler Keniana and settler Toya staring off into the distance. And they're essentially in their own encampment. At the very edge of this encampment, Saraid is standing as well, looking off in the distance. If it isn't already obvious, they are clearly looking outwards, kind of trying to be on the lookout for any encroaching dangers. Have you figured it out? If you haven't already, we are broadcasting from the region of Kryta, the zone of Caledon Forest, and our location for today's Waypoint Unknown is Bridget's Overlook. That's right in the kind of smack dab center of Caledon Forest. Let's move on.
Any interesting news?
In today's news, the very big one to cover first is the April 14th patch notes just a couple days ago. First and foremost, the Super Adventure Festival. ArenaNet writes, Moto's world-renowned Super Adventure Box returns again. Explore 2 worlds and test 2 zones, and 2 test zones, rather, of excitement, peril, and educational entertainment to earn holographic weapons and a variety of loot. Travelers can visit the Super Adventure Box in Radasum. Temporary portals have been placed in each major city to facilitate easy travel to the scenic hub of Asuran culture. The World 3 test zone has been expanded. That's right, you heard it here. The World 3 test zone has been expanded. Test Zone 2 is now available for players who have completed the original test zone, which is now labeled Test Zone 1. Delve deeper into the watery caverns and explore ancient ruins. Moto reminds players that the test zones are presented as is for the enjoyment and education of progeny and will be improved upon in later releases. So essentially, we're kind of beta-ing it. But the world's expanding. If you haven't done this one before, it is tons of fun. Complete the festival's meta achievement, Super Adventure Box Nostalgia, to earn the new Powered Vest armor. Last year's reward, the Powered Boots, is now available from the Super Adventure Box traders. The new Forged Light weapon set is now available, reprised from the retro classic Hard Light weapon set. You'll receive your choice of a weapon by progressing the Super Adventure Box Nostalgia Meta achievement, and you can earn additional choices through weekly Super Adventure Box achievements. The Super Rainbow Cloud weapon set is now available from the weekly Super Adventure Box vendors. Everyone else's other favorite dragon, Plush S, is now available in backpack form from Super Adventure Box vendors. New weapons have been added to the Retro Forge series. You can purchase these weapons directly from a festival vendor or find them as a rare drop in super loot bags. And new Super Adventure Box themed guild decorations have been added as well. Turn your hall into the mountainous riverside getaway of your dreams. Super Bridge Plank, Super Rapids Flowing Water, Super Rapids Pillar, Super Rapids Plateau, and as mentioned earlier, the Plush S. Also, Super Adventure Box music can now be unlocked for your homestead. Your first completion of each zone will have a chance to drop a soundtrack single featuring music from Super Adventure Box. These records can also be purchased from festival vendors or traded with other players. Outside that, in our patch notes in general, ArenaNet writes, in the last several expansions, creatures have been given additional health to account for increased player damage. We forecasted this on a previous podcast. With the balance changes in this update, we are reducing the health of most enemies in the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons, Secrets of the Obscure, Janther Wilds, and Visions of Eternity expansions. In addition, we're making more significant adjustments to the bosses in the Silent Turf, Lonely Tower, and Kinfall Fractals. We will be monitoring the effects of the balance changes and will make further adjustments if needed. In the open world, reduced the enemy difficulty. They have reduced the enemy difficulty and decreased the speed of Inquest success in Defeat the Inquest to prevent them from capturing the Ley Energy Coalescence events. In dungeons, they updated the Corrosive Light Globe puzzles in the ruined city of Ara. That's the dungeon that allows players to throw corrosive light directly into the globe. As for raids, a new vendor has been added to the Lion's Arch Aerodrome that contains rewards from raid encounters that were previously only accessible in raid encounter hubs. This vendor includes an option to convert blue prophet crystals to magnetite shards. Also, salvaging ascended rewards from raid encounters can now yield magnetite shards, bringing the results in line with those from raid wing rewards. And finally, they have removed the encounter timer from Greer, the Blightbringer in the Mount Balrier raid encounters normal mode and challenge mode. They will continue to monitor the encounter following the balance adjustment. Timers for the down and out achievements have also been increased. As for World vs. World, waypoints were previously changed to always activate at Objective Upgrade Tier 0 in keeps captured by the home team. They will now activate at Objective Upgrade Tier 0 in keeps captured by their spawn team. The Alpine Borderlands and Desert Borderlands garrisons are considered the spawn keeps for the home team on those maps. And keep and castle objectives will now stay contested while any inner gates and walls are destroyed. Moving on to player versus player, push has been added to the monthly variety tournament rotation. The first push tournament will occur on May 9th. Finally, you can see the patch notes on their forums for updates to individual profession skills as well. So I kind of went through everything there in general, the different parts of the game. But if you want to see those individual profession skills updates, go look at those patch notes on the forums. Next is Guild Wars 2 live stream. They're going to have a live stream on Twitch, and that is going to be tomorrow, Friday, April 17th. They say that we'll be partying up with some of our partners to play Super Adventure Festival. So that's tomorrow, Friday, April 17th at 12 p.m. Central. Final piece of news is also related to the Super Adventure Festival, and that is they have the original game soundtrack available right now on music streaming platforms. How cool is that? So head on to your favorite music streaming platform and listen to the soundtrack.
My time is precious.
Next, we move on to a calendar check. And first and foremost, that Super Adventure Box we talked about, this is what ArenaNet writes. It's time for the most pixelated party in Guild Wars 2, the Super Adventure Festival. Moto has once again opened the doors to his virtual world, inviting players to jump, battle, and collect a treasure trove of new and returning rewards. Moto has also opened a new partially submerged test zone for early access, so we talked about that a little bit earlier. If you haven't played this one, It's just a lot of fun. Check your in-game mail for an invitation to the Super Adventure Festival. Double-click the invitation, and you can teleport instantly to that box near Magustin Court Waypoint in Radisum. This event is going on right now, until May 5th, so make sure you jump on and enjoy that one. But before we move on to the next segment, I want to do something a little bit different. Usually I do my Dear ArenaNet segment later in the Tales of Tyria portion of the show. And if you're not familiar with that, Dear ArenaNet's essentially a segment where I write a ye old letter to ArenaNet, basically describing something that I think should be changed, added, removed, iterated on in-game. So not going to be in that segment, but it's in this one for a reason, because it has to do with the calendar. Dear ArenaNet, as a returning player, I've been refamiliarizing myself with the many events that Guild Wars 2 has to offer. The problem is, I don't often remember when all the annual in-game holidays and events are happening, including all the details of what they entail. This includes things like holiday events, festivals, and even regularly occurring events that pop up from time to time, like the rush events for world bosses, PvP, dungeons, and fractals. As a podcaster, it's doubly important to find this information so I can pass it on to the player base that listens to the show. Therefore, the only thing that I can currently rely on is having to do the work of seeking out this information on your social media pages, as well as the release calendar on the wiki, which is still pretty bare bones. Furthermore, this is coming from a returning player. What about new players? It's already overwhelming entering an MMO that's been around for almost 14 years. And when they want to learn about the in-game events, they have to look up the same resources I've referred to, or simply rely on the in-game mail that they receive, but even then it arrives once the events have started. My solution to this inconvenience is simple. Have an in-game calendar. Having recently left WoW, one of the features they have is an in-game calendar. Players can simply click on it and see all the events coming up in the immediate future, as well as see what's on the horizon. This not only helps us know what's going on, but also helps us to forecast what's ahead and plan our playtime and, in my case, content creation around these events. Sincerely, Winkari.
How are your endeavors progressing?
I now want to move on to the Wizard's Vault and its astral rewards. This one's pretty simple. We're going to look at some special objectives that are available in the Wizard's Vault right now to earn extra astral acclaim as you enjoy the festival, the Super Adventure Festival, that is. There are 4 count 'em, 4 achievements that you can pursue. Super Adventure Box Nostalgia, that is 300 astral acclaim. Annual World 1 Classic achievement. Annual World 2 Classic achievement. And Annual Zone Runner achievement. All 3 of those are 100 astral acclaim. So again, if you do the simple math, if you do all 4 of those achievements, that is 600 astral acclaim, or some long dollars as I like to call them. So go do those ones, but just remember you only have until the end of the event to complete them, and that is May 5th.
I've got deals you won't believe.
We now turn our attention to all things Black Lion Trading Company. First is the Blazing Lands Skybox. This one's pretty cool. You gotta check this out for yourself on social media. ArenaNet writes, turn your homestead into a lair fit for a fiery elder dragon. The Blazing Lands homestead sky adds a volcanic vibe. Wild nature is a sight to behold. So if you haven't seen this one, check out their social media. For 800 gems, you can get this skybox essentially in your homestead, and it's basically like the world gone to hell. It's a giant, fiery, Lord of the Ringsy type volcano. It is very cool. A lot of people are enjoying this one. That one's 800 gems right now on the store. Next is the Dynamics Extractor Gathering Tools and Accelerated Edge Package. Say that 5 times fast. ArenaNet writes, this week is all about assuring innovation. The Dynamics Extractor Gathering Tools and the Accelerated Edge Package are designed with efficiency in mind. Their sleek aesthetic is the daily cutting edge you need to get through your endeavors. So, the Accelerated Edge package contains an Accelerated Edge axe, dagger, and focus skins as a chance drop from a Black Lion chest. That's how you're going to get those ones by chance, again, from a Black Lion chest. The Dynamics Extractor Gathering Tools, which are kind of what they sound like, those are 2,700 gems, but it also includes 3 Black Lion glyph selection containers as a bonus. You can see a video of both of these, again, on their social media accounts, so go check those out.
Ideas are like cream. Good ones rise to the top.
This next segment is called Forum Find, where it's kind of what it sounds like. We find something in the forums online that we think is thought-provoking, and we discuss a little bit on the show. This one comes to us from the Guild Wars 2 forums by Mrs. King. She asks, if you had to choose one expansion to play through the rest of your days, and you couldn't play any of the others, which one are you choosing, and why? You know, for me, I'm, to be honest, not probably the best person to ask this because I've only played through the first 2 expansions, and the second one, Path of Fire, I've only got about halfway through. That being said, I'll answer the question. If I can't choose Corteria, which is what I would personally choose, I would choose Path of Fire. Only because I'm actually not a fan of jungle forest type zones, generally speaking, and the super vertical maps that are in Heart of Thorns, rather. It's kind of doing like a Game of Thrones Freudian slip there. But if you've been to Heart of Thorns, for people like me, it makes it really hard to navigate. And then again, aesthetically, the jungle foresty vibe, not really for me. So for me, only got two to choose from. Path of Fire is my choice. What about you? Leave a comment on Spotify, YouTube, or send me an email. That about does it for our news and updates. Let's jump into the main portion of our show, and that is our Tales of Tyria.
I have so much to tell you.
So in last episode, we had Tyria talk with the questing dad, but before that, in the previous episode, we went through the starting zone of the Sylvari in Caledon Forest. So we continue on from that story into today's episode where we are exploring Brisban Wildlands. I first entered the zone and talked to Peacemaker Gamek, a scout. He says the Brisban Wildlands used to be a secure, secluded spot for some of our more experimental labs. Now the Inquest have moved in and targeted Marat Boru's weapons research. We're working with the Wild Hunt and Sarah forces to protect our labs, but it's not sufficient. I'm deputizing you with 2 objectives: assist the researchers at Aethervolt Lab and stop the Inquest from disrupting Marat Boru. Nearby, researcher Tilmuk says that the Inquest labs are popping up more and more, and that there's also Nightmare Court and bandits in the area. Crew leader Lanx is the founder of Aethervolt Labs, and says that it's been operational for a decade, and that their core principle is that nature contains vast, mysterious resources, and that once they find them, they can use them to unlock secrets about the eternal alchemy. Okay then. Graz says that the Inquest doesn't like the Peacemakers because they keep the Inquest from indulging in experiments of questionable morality. Seti says Marat Boru is the center of advanced weapons research and development, and that their devices are made to assist the Peacemakers. Organizer Eric says that the Hylic have different aggression levels, little inside info, based on their pigment, their skin pigment. Local red-skinned Hylic are dangerous, is what we learn. Nearby, a wild hunt party of Sylvari show up, and some of them are picked off one by one as I follow them until a creature appears out of nowhere that I've never seen before, simply named Unseen Hunter, and I battle it. At the end, Valiant Raylor sells me an underwater net and tells me that the creature is called a Largos, saying that Largos are silent, determined, and calculated killers. Few have ever seen them and lived to report it. Our group was incredibly lucky to survive. Thinking those might come up later at some point. At the Aethervolt lab nearby, Spark asks me to help him on a mission. At the Karsten Chambers, he asks me to collect Scudder energy to power his golem, and after restoring his golem, it turns on him and I have to defeat it. Surprisingly, in this case, it was a champion and I still downed it. At the end, Spark berates and blames his assistant and runs off, and Apprentice clocks the aforementioned assistants, then sells me a mini golem bomb, which I'm kind of learning, really, in this game, in this world, that the assistants of these so-called geniuses of these crews are usually the ones that kind of get the short end of the stick. Next, I travel to Skritsburg, a giant Skrit city in a cavern. Buka tells me more Skrit live there than anywhere else. Tarkton nearby is an ectoplasm merchant, the first one I come across, and apparently you can sell him ectoplasm and money for a chance at a lottery of items that you could win, basically more valuable items. So it's kind of like a slot machine in that regard. I gave in. I tried one of the first 2 tiers and basically broke even. So it's up to you if you want to do it. This isn't the only one in the game, but that's just one of them. Twitchhawk is the renowned Heart NPC. He says that the Skrit are doing experiments and need power baubles to conduct them. Tic-Tac tells me, not Tic-Tac, but Tic-Tac tells me that the king opens up the town center when they feel safe, but all gates must be safe so that no bad things can come in. Eventually, I meet the king in the city center, and he says that being the king is dangerous because of all the threats. The last one only lasted 4 months, and the one before him only 3 nights. At the northeast entrance to the city, there was one renowned heart of note. I had to kill destroyers and bring back unconscious Skrit to get them healed. And when I completed the heart, I got this message. Our sentries always bibble-babble the story of you coming to our cave. One say you carry 50 wounded Skrit tied to your head as you jumped over lava. One say you break a fire troll over your knee and used its pebbles for gunpowder. I know not if these deeds are real, but to us they are true. Not the same, real and true. True you feel inside. Always follow what is true. I just have to give kudos to ArenaNet for this one. That's some great writing. Suddenly, the Nightmare Court, out of nowhere, starts attacking the Skrit King, so I rush over to help. Unfortunately, I didn't make it in time, sad panda, and they finished him off. As they did so, the doors to the city center locked, I was forced out, and afterward I had to defend the different access doors from enemies until they opened up again. This was fun, but it also seemed a bit random. I don't know. Next, I head to Zinder Slope, the entrance from Caledon Forest specifically. I first talked to the Savari Roisenmer. She tells me she was growing a new addition onto her home when she felt a pulling at her core which guided her to this location. She doesn't know why, just that it was needed. And we're hearing this multiple times throughout the story so far, aren't we? That they kind of awake, feel a pull to a specific area, they go, and they kind of find their calling, so to speak. Next, Peacemaker Brunt in Asura says that it used to be the perfect area for those who wanted to work away from Radisum's noise, but then the Inquest, Nightmare Court, and bandits moved in. Calxi on the outskirt of the outpost says that they are right near a Nightmare Court outpost as well. They're training thorn wolves and performing torturous tests on Skrit, experimenting with hypnosis. Right on cue, a dynamic event pops up where the Nightmare Court are bringing Skrit slaves to their outpost, but me and a couple of others were able to thwart their efforts. Diantha nearby tells me that they call their outpost Joy's End, an appropriate name for their operation. And I learned that the outpost outside Joy's End is called Watchful Source, the Wild Hunt's main base in Brisban Wildlands filled with Savari. Adra says that Savari who feel they must restore the balance to the world are part of the Wild Hunt, kind of what we were talking about earlier. They don't choose it per se, they are called to it as, quote, valiance. Next I head north to Nemton Grove. Gardener Liara tells me that in her dream she saw a wise tree that held the future in its branches. She goes on to say that once she saw the revered terebinth, she knew she must protect it. She also says that the tree is special because it bears a fruit that brings power when eaten. She heard it was a second-born sacrifice that caused this change and that the gardeners might know more. Unfortunately, the Nightmare Court want to corrupt it. So, I travel up to the hill, to the tree to find out more. I talked to Gardener Marithel, and she tells me that a second-born died in defense of her companions by the roots of this tree, or by the companion's folly by the roots of this tree. Unfortunately, when I ask for more information, she says she can't share that information with an outsider. Okay, then. There is, however, a veteran Heart of the Terebinth Karma merchant standing nearby that sells me that magical fruit that provides condition damage and an experience boost. I travel north to Seraph Protector's camp and talk to Goran. He says Willem's bandits are stealing their supplies. I help the Skrit defeat bandits nearby, retrieve poison to heal their friends. I then head east and happen upon a rift event, or west rather, and happen upon a rift event in north-central Brisban Wildlands. This part was really, really interesting. I had to catch brand crystals that shot out and then use them to break this rift barrier. And after I did it 4 times, it exploded and let me use the rift portal. It then transferred me to the Mist's Rift, where I had to defeat a Rift Stalker to close the rift. Another 2 people helped while I was doing that, and I liked that you had to run away from it when defeating him. So you kind of take your time to defeat the monster, and you have to jump on these other kind of floating islands, kind of like Indiana Jones style with the bowl rolling past him. It was a lot of fun. The rewards were pretty lousy, I must admit, especially for how long it took, but the boss fight, that was really fun. However, after I looked closer to my loot, I realized that I had received a lost golem item, which apparently is an item you return to someone who has lost an item. And in this case, it was to an Asura in Brisban Wildlands. And apparently that's how it works, is that when you finish the boss, you have to reach that exit portal, and if you do so, you'll receive a keepsake item that rotates every 10 minutes. True story. You can check the wiki for what item is currently up. There are 7 total, and also tied to achievements. Very cool, huh? I head west. I continue to go west to Hidden Lake and speak to Adam Finley. He says that Queen Jenna stationed the Seraph there months ago and to watch out for bandits and ghosts. He says the ghosts around here are centuries old. I ask what his mission is, but he says he doesn't trust me yet enough to tell me, so okay, I'll have to come back. In the center of the lake, I come across another bloodstone sliver. Love that. It says, quote, "The very air in this area feels strange." And then my character responds, "Let's take this bloodstone sliver before it has a chance to cause trouble." The first ghost I run to in Hidden Lake is Graham. He says he was hired to do something but can't remember his mission. He was a soldier hired to hunt something but can't remember. So I kept guessing in the dialogue until I got it right, and it was Gale Stormsend, the Wind Rider that terrorized the Sagelands. He says he never did find it, but heard others manage to slay it, and now can finally rest. Next I speak to the ghost of Jaden Fletcher. She says she can't find her husband, Aaron, and doesn't know where she is, or where she came from. After a while I guess correctly that she's from Ventari's Refuge, and that her and her husband both traded in ancient eyes and can now sense him. Next is the ghost of Robin Niels. He says he can't see, he's surrounded by darkness, maybe even shadows, and he was once a collector, and that these are the shadowy remnants he traded in. Now he knows them for what they are, and he can rest. Next is Mosra the Exile. He says pain gnaws at him, even beyond the grave, but doesn't know the cause. He died from poisoning, and it still infects his spirit. And I learn apparently that he died at his own hands making a stew, but put in too many spider legs in the pot. Wah, wah. Elwyn Kirby says that some desire is unquenched. She misses the fact that she never had children in her life and died with that one regret. And after this, I run into Scout Findelay. He tells me that one of the Seraph was assassinated in his tent recently and believes it was one of Shannon's bandits. Aaron Fletcher I come upon finally, and he says he is looking for something from a creature, which end up being the eyes from Wind Riders. Scout Casiel, nearby, says that they were called here to investigate rumors of the White Mantle. She says all they found is relics and ghosts, which makes her believe that the White Mantle disappeared centuries ago. But I'm thinking to myself that somehow I don't think she's quite right. At the Seraph's Observers Camp, I talked to Lieutenant Cassandra. She says that the few supplies that get sent to them from Divinity's Reach gets stolen by the bandits, and that they always seem to know when the next shipment is coming. Maybe someone on the inside, maybe Codicus? She also says there is a large group of bandits to the west that have something big brewing with the inquest. Seraph Soldier Lowen says that the White Mantle are a group of cultists who followed the Mursat and have since disbanded. He says the Mursat were virulent spellcasters the White Mantle worshipped as gods, but they've long been destroyed. Right on cue, a bunch of bandits come to attack and I fend off the group. A Seraph Provisioner sells me a medkit as a reward. Finally, the last ghost I come upon is Isabeau Navarre. And she says that she was murdered but only remembers fragments. He threw her on the floor, his hands over her mouth and nose engulfing darkness. I later learned that it was actually a business deal gone bad. This guy had tried swindling her, but when she discovered his scheme, he attacked, and the only solace she now has is that, well, he must be dead by now. When I'm done with the area, I head to the graveyard nearby and read all the tombstones about the ghosts I spoke to. Funnily enough, ArenaNet did get Elwyn's gender wrong, the woman that never had kids. They said he lived a full life but planted no seeds, so, Also, the Asura Koth is tending to the graveyard, walking around there. He says that there are 3 more tombstones of Asura here. Olvax had a special fascination with these lands. He left Radasum and moved out here to catalog and study every living thing in this area. He says they wouldn't have this site if it weren't for him. He made a hefty sum from some big theory he had, used the funds to preserve this site from being claimed by the swamp, and his tombstone says creator of the Olvax Unified Equation of Liquid Variances, which would be CUUELV, QL. And that doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? Next, Vennik was a proud and ambitious alchemist and had a long life full of successful projects until he chased away every apprentice he had, calling them ignorant fools. He thought he could do it all. Then came that fatal mistake in the lab. I believe if he had someone there, he'd still be alive. His tombstone says he violently became a part of the Eternal Alchemy in 1319 AE, funny way of saying that they died, after he improperly destabilized a trans-aetheric crystal array with a spoon. What a way to go. She also says that she knows, she doesn't know for certain what happened to the Asura Trija. She was working on some experimental gate technology and then, zap, vanished without a trace. Some believe she died, others think she went to another world. Her crew put up that marker there. If you go to her tombstone, it says that she was presumed disintegrated in the Great Gate Glitch of 1312. Really interesting. Makes you really think, doesn't it? Maybe that character, Trija, is still out there somewhere. Overall, I really like this area, particularly because it had such throwbacks to actual NPCs from Guild Wars 1. What a nice touch. After completing the Renown Heart, I head back to Adam Finley, and then he now sells me an Oakheart Sprout, which is important because this is an item used to receive the Druid's Staff Yggdrasil, an Ascended weapon, so log that away. Next, I head east to Lion's Heart Outcrops, where I happened upon some bandits who had recently blown up a bridge. And if you look to the northern part of the map, where it leads up on this ridge, you can even jump that gap with your raptor mount if you have one. And when you do so, you actually see a portal leading to another zone at the north part of the map there that doesn't actually exist yet. True story. If you want to see this, just check it out. I've got a video on my social media. I head further west and come across Seraph's spy Ivy, who's outside a bandit outpost. She says she's a spy and that the bandits inside are standing in the way of a critical Seraph mission. She asks me to get a disguise and poison their rations and anything else to sabotage them, and once inside I spar with bandits, convince 2 others that I'm not an imposter. I poison supplies, steal battle plans, and even convince 2 reluctant bandits to earn an honest living and to rethink their next attack on Keswick's Hills, which one of them actually has family there. I really liked this Renown Heart. It was very roleplay-ish. Shocker that I liked it, right? I think this is a really good example, this area here, of how to do a role-playing Renown Heart. Nearby, I talk to Huarache, a Skrit who needs help protecting themselves from bandits nearby and to gather shinies. A dynamic event pops off where I need to disrupt the supply crates of a nearby bandit camp. I finish that, and then another dynamic event pops up where I need to protect 2 Skrit, taking back a crate that was taken away from them by the bandits. Afterwards, I stumble upon another roller beetle race, and masked Roller F is there again. He says the course is called Tropic Valley Raceway and tours the entirety of the Wildlands. I did a race with some others that were there, but they all died off. I was the last one standing, and after 2.5 laps, I didn't even finish the race in time. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, the race is too long. I then tried the time trial just by myself, and I didn't even make the bronze time, so not a fan at all of this one. Way too long. Just doing 1 lap alone is a lot, let alone 3 of them. Not a fan. Next to this area is a guild mission, but unfortunately I'm not really sure what that is yet, so I can't really do that one yet. Even though I'm in a guild, I'll have to look at that one later. I travel east and come across a Skrit cave called Skritsatani, which is kind of funny. Makes me think of Punxsutawney Phil from Groundhog Day. There's not much really in this cave, but a bunch of shinies and Skrit saying it's going to be the new center of Skrit people. At least that's what they're thinking. Nearby, Seraph Soldier Ilya is hiding. She says the bandits nearby follow Brian, an elite bandit trainer, and that newer weak recruits come to her for intensive training, but the group's involved with the Inquest. She's not sure why they're working together, but Brian's gang is giving the Inquest Skrit to experiment on. Peacemaker Claudie, also nearby, says that the Nightmare Court are working with them too. So I move out, I infiltrate an Inquest lab nearby, and upon opening a container, I receive a resonance tuner, which, quote, is a specialized sub-device used in Asuran gadgets. After looking it up on the wiki, apparently it's an item that is in use for the Portal Peacemaker achievement from one of the Living World seasons, so I'll get to that one down the road sometime. I travel south to the Ulta Metamagicals, what a fun word. Peacemaker Gil warns me about the Inquest lab to the west, Thamacor Inquiry Center. The Inquest there are experimenting with advanced weaponry, and that there's rumors they've discovered a new power source for their golems and crystals that improve weapon potency. I talked to Jod, and he says that the Ulta Metamagicals is the leading lab in Asura Gate technology, and that they are investigating alternate methods of travel through gate portals. I finished the Renown Heart, and Glax can't give me a promised resonance tuner because a bandit raid made off with them. He thinks they intend to sell them to the Inquest, and I say I'll politely ask the Inquest for an extra. I think this is part of the mystery of the resonance tuner I have, but I'm not certain. I head east and happen upon a champion bandit bounty for Earl the Silent, and I ask for help in the map. Another player helps me down her, and after defeating her, I get the Long Arm of the Light achievement for defeating 5 bandit leaders marshalling in the shadows, and this provided me the reward of a Tome of Tyrion Master. Not too bad. I head west to Triforge Point. How could you not think of Zelda when you hear Triforge? Triforge, come on now. Alinoy, what a fun name. The Silvari is sitting next to a tent. When I ask her what the tent's there for, she says this is where the Seraph, Wild Hunt, and Peacemakers are gathering soldiers to fight the Sinister Triad, which is a local nickname for the Nightmare Court, Bandit, and Inquest who've joined forces. The Triad is tormenting Brisban Wildlands, and we don't have the numbers to stop them, she says. Right on cue, the Sinister Triad camps prepare for an attack, and I have to destroy those camps. And after doing so, the Triad leaders come out, including one champion, and thankfully another player helped me defeat them, because I very much could not do that one alone. As I move northwest, I stumble upon a hidden Seraph scout who says that I need to watch myself. Something here caused the Triad to vacate Fort Vandal. Good for us, maybe, they say, unless what scared them off was worse. Ooh. The fort was abandoned so fast, they say, that the Triad hardly had time to collect their notes. Vines were scattered all over, and the place looked an awful lot like what happened at Fort Salma and Concordia. I ask if he thinks Mordramoth has attacked it or will attack the fort, and he says maybe it started to. But whatever it was interested in is gone now. Either way, step lightly, they say. Seraph are on their way to secure the fort. So, of course, I go there like a moth to a flame. I head northwest to Fort Vandal. And once there, I first talk to one of the crew leaders who says he has an inquest mess to attend to. They're right outside this Asura gate that's kind of, discombobulated. They say there is an attempt at an Asura gate by the inquest and wants to know if it was ever fully operational. It appears once capable of powering up, which means it should have released a gate-specific frequency. This gate, however, was silent. Its destination point is non-existent, a technological impossibility. Curious. Is this foreshadowing of things to come? Is this a story yet to be told? I need answers. Next, Seraph soldier Amria, says they took Fort Vandal after the sinister Triad hastily abandoned it. According to the notes they left behind, it seems some Mordrim vines chased them out. Next to her, she has Bandit Lena in a cage as a prisoner, and she says you have no idea what you're messing with. Spooky. In that area, I find multiple pieces of paper as well throughout the towers. And this is what it says. Someone scribbled on a map on this paper. Circles and notes mark areas of strange activity around Vandal's claim. Report 389. We've spotted vines near the fort, waiting for headquarters directives. Days since last directive, 10. Report 392. The vines are moving closer. As of yesterday, a third scout disappeared while investigating the plants. Still no word from HQ. Days since last directive, 21. There's also a report binder that says, quote, part of the report is smudged. You can make out bits and pieces. Breached the wall, were too few, all down, backup, question mark? And finally, a logbook says experimentations have yielded few results. The vines are resilient to common methods of extermination, but can be injured, even killed, with enough force. Unfortunately, such force is in short supply. Nice little foreshadows there of story to come, right? Next, I head south to Thaumacore Inquiry Center, the inquest area that we were told about. Pelk and Lashy are standing outside the area, these two Asura, and they tell me that the inquest has a weaponized golem holed up inside their weapons facility. In the center is a Thaumacore energy source as a hero point, and it says that the entire inquest facility is drawing power from the miasmic substance. Its nebulous form is unlike standard generators, and its supercharged particles are twice as potent. Afterwards, I travel southeast to the Koga ruins. There, ghostly spectator Davina says the ruins are an ageless battle, an unending grudge. Guild warriors of days past, caught up in their fervor for battle, unable to rest. She says that this place was once Fort Koga, where guilds came from all over Tyria to try and control this vital location. It was key to controlling all trade routes, but when new, safer trade routes were established, the fort was abandoned. And this leads us to today's Echoes of Tyria segment, a segment where we go deep into something in Guild Wars past, lore-wise.
Knowledge is the greatest treasure.
Thanks to our good friend, the Wiki, it tells us that years ago, Fort Koga was a key defensive point between Kryta and the western coast of Tyria. Guilds from across Tyria came to siege its walls, for those who controlled the fort controlled the trade routes, as we learned earlier. Fort Koga is one of the maps in rotation in random arenas, Codex Arena, Zaishin Challenge, and Zaishin Elite. Again, this is a throwback to Guild Wars 1. In Guild Wars 2, in Koga Ruins, which is what it is now, you actually chase around Ghostly Runner Zengrade and Ghostly Pursuers as part of a hero challenge. which I now learn is a direct reference to runners in Guild Wars 1 PvP that on the Fort Koga map, back in the day, would sometimes just run in circles to waste time. There you go. There's your lore bit for the day. I turn west to Merkwise, a German priory camp, and their researcher Elspeth Andrian says that the old Crichton language is the language of the Druids. They say, quote, although we know the glyphs, we've lost the ability to read the meaning behind them. I'm trying to reconstruct their ancestral language. Scholar Eleanor Taylor says, we're here reaching out to the Silvari and Asura both to help them with local problems, but also to enlist them for the upcoming conflict against the Elder Dragons. More recently, we've been focused on the breach in the mountains to the west. Vines have ripped through the mountain, creating 2 passes into unknown territory, and the Seraph are establishing an outpost in Tangle Root, and the Priory have joined them. I next ask her about more history of the Dermond Priory, and she tells me that the order was founded in 1105 AE by the Crichton scholar Dermond, who sought to compile the first true history of Tyria. He built a monastery in the Shiver Peaks where his work could be safeguarded. I next head west and speak with scholar Issa Farone. They say we received word that the Asura had discovered some petrified husks that resembled ancient druids, but the druids disappeared centuries ago, so we came to investigate. When I ask her what she hopes to find, she says, answers. Are these husks of ancient druids? Where did they come from? Why do they still pulse with energy even though they appear dead? And why is the Inquest interested in them? She says the Dermond Priory is conducting research throughout Toxel Bog, but face many challenges. There's basilisks, skelk, Hylic, and Inquest who are all disrupting the research there. And she says that the Inquest has some plans to use the druid husks that are throughout the swamp for something. Quote, we've seen them using some sort of energy-sapping weapon to tap into the mystical energy that lives inside the husks. We don't know what they're using it for, but it can't be for anything good. Be careful of the sapper devices. I head south to the Shattered Henge. There I find a hero point called the Henge of Denravi. Quote, once a sacred place for the druids of Maguma Jungle, the Henge of Denravi has long since fallen into ruin. Those who venture to this mystical haven can sense the ages of reverence and power that infused the earth. Next I head west to Toxel Bog and come across Lady Grimassi, a hero challenge, who, by doing so, gives you a Toxel Bog stew. Ain't that a good one? I also run into a golem named Unit, UNIT, which leads us to today's Tyrian transmission.
Initializing error. Initialization failed. Begin essential internal diagnostics. Doobie 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 doot 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 doot. Memory matrix analysis complete. Scanning recent events. Sustained damage in reactor explosion. Analyzing data collected during explosion event. Analysis complete. Cause sabotage. Perpetrators inquest. Initiating secondary protocol. Inquest. Saboteurs detected. Elimination mode engaged.
So in case you're a little confused, it's basically a dynamic event that kicks off, and there's really only one reason why that was today's Tyrian transmission, and that was because it's just hilarious to hear a golem go doopy 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 doo. That was the only reason. Hope you liked it as much as I did. I escort and clear out the Thaumacore Inquiry Center with the help of UNIT, and while doing so, I defeat a golem named Prototype Assistant Lenore, which leads us to today's Hidden in Plain Sight segment, a segment where we discuss something that's in-game, that's often overlooked, hidden, something you just don't pay attention to, you might overlook it.
How interesting.
So when you kill this enemy, the Prototype Assistant Lenore, it doesn't drop loot, it actually spawns Zakagrat the Greedier, another enemy, who when you defeat them, drops the extremely dirty cog. And after looking it up, this is actually part of the mini-quest issued by Collector Turksley after talking to her about the mini Angry Winter's Day gift. I did a lot of research on this one. It's kind of convoluted, but long story short, if you do this, log that item away because you'll use it later as a part of this kind of like mini side quest thing, starting with the mini Angry Winter's Day gift and Collector Turksley, which is in Lion's Arch, but it has to be around Winter's Day apparently, yada yada yada. There's a lot going on there, but there's your hidden in plain sight. At the end of the dynamic event itself, I free the Asura Whist, who had been captured, but unfortunately the reward that I'm given is just a useless item. Kind of anticlimactic. After this, I completed my last renown heart and received a Black Lion chest key for the entire area, but there was one more area that I still had yet to explore, which is Aurora's Remains. This is at the southwest portion of the map of Brisban Wildlands, and I come across Les Longbow, who's fighting some spirits. After I defeat them, I talk to him, and he says, I am grateful for your aid, but there is evil afoot. The demagogue champion of the White Mantle is here. Will you join me on my hunt? I follow him down into a watery cavern, and he says the demagogue spirit is close, but I need a rune crystal to open the way to him. If my scouts found the crystal, she may need help getting it here. I press him for questions, and he replies. He says that this area was known as Aurora Glade, and the pedestals used rune crystals to activate. He says that long ago, when Kryta was in turmoil, the White Mantle took control and gave the people order. It took some time, however, before they uncovered their evil plots. The demagogue was their champion, and I believe his failure is what roots him here. As long as the demagogue remains, the mantle will always have strength. And finally, the demagogue spirit is bound together with the pain its deeds caused in the world. I feel it pulling me, they say. Perhaps other spirits feel this pull as well. So next, I do that. I go to search for the Crystal Runner, and I happen upon the spirit of a Crichton villager who says, I was just hunting in the jungle, getting food for my family, when I was confronted by the White Mantle. They asked me about the Henge of Denravi and other things I didn't understand. They wouldn't believe that I didn't know. They insisted I was lying. So without ever blinking, they killed me and just kept marching. Now I'll never go home. My family will surely starve to death. A second villager I come across says they told me I was to be honored, that the Eye of Xanthir chose me for a reason. Then they wrapped me in webbing, and the spiders. The screams of the other chosen. I know they're coming for me next. The White Mantle pretend to be the protectors of Kryta, but they're involved with something terrible. Terrible. A third villager I come across says, my son. The White Mantle took my son away from me. Said he was one of the chosen. I've wandered Silverwood searching for him. Have you seen my son? It was only yesterday that he was taken when the White Mantle Justicars came through our village. They were heading through Silverwood. They must still be around here somewhere. The White Mantle tell us that the chosen are selected by the Eye of Xanthir and are highly honored. But once chosen, none are ever seen again. I need my boy to help with harvests. Perhaps they will understand. I will keep searching. I told my husband I would only look for him until I'd worn through the soles of my shoes. Look, there still is, if new. I can keep going a bit longer. I mean, this is kind of heart-wrenching stories, these ghosts of the ones that were killed so many years ago, right? In this area, I also come across a pollen-rich zephyr, which happens to be part of a quest line to create an ascended back item called Maudry. But you need an enormous Foxfire cluster from Living World Season 2, so just log that away. Eventually, I do find the Crystal Runner and escort them to Les Longbow. We then fight and defeat the champion demagogue, and my reward is a splendid chest. I really love this area. To be honest, there wasn't too many great, mini stories in Brisban Wildlands, but this is one of them. I really love the area, really love the story, really love the experience of that area, of Aurora's Remains. So, that about does it. Brisban Wildlands, what is my verdict? Well, overall, I thought that it was pretty middle-of-the-road experience-wise, to be honest. It clearly has a lot going on, a good variety of enemies, and some interesting points, but not many areas really left a lasting imprint on me. Story-wise, the main takeaway for me was that many groups are conspiring together for something, and that the White Mantle may come into play at some point. My favorite locations were Hidden Lake, with all its lore bits with the ghosts, especially from Guild Wars 1. And the art design and feel and story, of course, as the aforementioned Aurora's Remains. Really enjoyed that. My least favorite areas were kind of the vastness and too similar feel throughout Skritzburg, and the terribly long and tedious Tropic Valley Raceway Beetle Race. Blech. Will not be returning to that one. Finally, I thought it was a real disappointment that this is the only map in all of Central Tyria that doesn't have a jumping puzzle. I don't get that one. Overall, my grade for the Brisban Wildlands is a C+. Next, we move on to the April Fool's event. I first start this by getting an email from Professor Smole. It says, "Salutations, favored test subject. Once again, I have opened my pop-up shop in the fine city of Lion's Arch to supply its eager populace with my tonics, regents, and novel arcana. Potions to change your outlook on life are flying off the shelves, and appreciation for the whimsical sweeps the city. As my brightest patron and the live trial participant, you may be particularly interested in my latest creation, the Fool's Ocular Tonic. One sip will open your worldview to new understanding, allow you to see for yourself and your fellows as through the eyes were once again unclouded by the years of doubt, suffering, and heart-wrenching heroic endeavor. Plus, it's got a neat taste. Just look for all the dogs. I'm right next to the big one, Professor Small." So, I head over to Lion's Arch and in the Lion Court. That's where I find him and all the doggos. And before I go any further, I have to point out this ridiculous music. It's the "oh." This music is just insane. In the membrane, I head over to Lion's Arch, like I said. In the Lion Court, there are a bunch of dogs lying around. I pet them all, thinking maybe there's an achievement. Nothing happened. Sad panda. Next, I talk with Professor Small, and he says, "Excelsior Brave Volunteer, I'm imploring you to aid in voluntary tests of my miraculous potions and various other items of strange origin. Just place your signature here, and a mysterious box will be sent to you immediately. If you need more goods, just visit me anytime. Supplies are unlimited for 1 week. Don't miss out." So, I got the annual April Fool's box, which rewarded me with a Fool's Loot box, which contained multiple items, one of which turns me into a Choya, and another that lets me see cats. Very cool. You can walk around, see cats all over. If you click on Professor Small a second time after talking to him, he will have more dialogue options, including bringing up the achievements for the event specifically. One of them is to use the dog treat, which borders your screen with paw prints, literally on the game you're playing. And if you sit or sleep next to the dogs for a couple minutes, then you get the annual Dog Days achievement. I believe it's 4 minutes. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's around 4 minutes. I next leave the Lion Court and happen upon Ham the kitten, and when I pet it, I get the annual In a Cat's Eye achievement, which rewarded me with a Chatoyant lens, a rare accessory which lets you see the cats at all times. So I've learned basically that once you have that item, or the item that is temporary, you can see cats all over the game. And these are Extra Life cats, too, part of a charity event. Next, I go to Sanctum Harbor, because I heard a rumor that you can see giant cats in all the major cities and homesteads, and I had to see this for myself. Sure enough, there was a giant cat wading in the water that had a name tag that said Burger on it. Which begs the question, does this mean they all have different names? I wonder. If you haven't seen this, you missed the event, check out my social media for a video of this. It is quite the spectacle. Next, I went to the Crow's Nest in Lion's Arch to check out the Fashion Wars dynamic event. There I found a chair that I could sit in, not part of the event, but sat in it anyway, and I actually got the annual Seats of Power achievement, which, there you go. There I read another Mariner plaque that says, "Built in 1231 AE, the Crow's Nest Tavern is one of the oldest structures in the city. It served as the meeting place for the first ship's council." I then started the Fashion Wars event that starts every 7 minutes or so, where you dress to a theme and then you go on stage one by one and you have people cheer you on and then vote for their favorite, and guess what? I won! There were only 3 of us, we won't mention that, but I won nonetheless. Kind of a fun RP event there, but that was about it for me, honestly. Overall, the event was fine, but it didn't really wow me. The fashion event specifically it's not really my jam. The silly effects with these tonics you can take, they're kind of funny, kind of fun, but not something that's really going to stay with you content-wise. I mean, the one that I enjoy the most, there's the one that makes you big googly eyes, and there's the one that, extends your torso really high up. That one is pretty darn hilarious. However, since I haven't been able to complete all the events it offers, for example, the Cozy Cafe event, I can't really give it a fully fair grade because I don't have a homestead yet. I believe I'll get that later on. So this is kind of one of those if I had to review it today sort of things. I would give the April Fool's event a C-. And with that, our time together comes to a close. If you'd like to show your support for the show, there are 3 ways you can do so. First is to follow the journey wherever you listen and to share the show with a friend. Second is to comment, rate, and review the podcast, and if you do so, I'll even read it on the show, which, speaking of, we've got a review.
What a nice surprise.
Grifter 007 on Apple Podcasts writes 5 stars. Winkari obviously has a passion not only for Guild Wars 2, but for putting together an entertaining show. He includes a wonderful mix of lore, news, story, and commentary sprinkled throughout each enjoyable episode. If you are a Guild Wars 2 fan, this is the podcast for you. B. Grenslin. Well, Grifter 007, B. Grenslin, whichever personality in between you are, I appreciate your review. Thank you so much for that. Finally, the 3rd way you can support the show is to subscribe to my Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can become a Wayfarer with benefits including access to Traveler's Logs, Patreon-only updates, and behind-the-scenes content, a member shout-out in the outro of an episode when you sign up, a member shout-out in the show notes of every episode, and quarterly live chat hangout AMAs. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at GWJourneyPod. And if you have any questions, comments, or corrections, you can email me at gwjourneypod@gmail.com. Also, be sure to check me out on Twitch, where I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and join our Discord. You can find links to all of these things in the show notes of our episode. Special thanks to ArenaNet for in-game music and sound, and to you for listening. I'll see you next time when the journey continues.